Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Hi, hello-y, my name is Loey, and at the end of last month we hit a whopping 12 years here on the LoeyLane channel. We did an entire stream to celebrate and I got real sappy if you want to go check out that VOD from last week, but it truly feels like yesterday that I was a 19-year-old Lo uploading my very first video onto this channel with so much hope and so much passion and drive for making a space where I felt like I could connect with people. And I never could have known where we would end up, let alone what we would end up talking about. I mean, my first videos were makeup and then plus size fashion and body positivity and then storytelling, and now we talk about ghosts and spooky stuff and, you know, whatever my heart desires really. And I truly just cannot thank you enough for making 19-year-old Lo's dreams come true, but also 31-year-old Lo's dreams come true. And every single day of my life, I am just so unbelievably grateful for everything that you've done for me. So just wanted to throw that out there, say happy 12 years. That all to say, you haven't seen your girl very much so far in 2025, and there's a very specific reason for that, and that reason is that I am burnt out. 12 years is a long time to be making content, but I've never really struggled with it in the past. I mean, it's so much fun for me. There's a reason I've continued to exist on YouTube and a reason that I've always kind of evolved with the times, and that's because I really love making videos, and that hasn't changed. The current state of the world and just sort of waking up every single day and feeling like life is a constant test for which I did not study, to quote the great Philip DeFranco, it really starts to weigh on the brain after a while. And if I'm honest, I think that one of the big stressors for me is just not knowing what's happening with TikTok in the coming months. Now, I'm a YouTuber by trade, you know, I make my little TikTok videos on the side, but we talk about a lot of scary TikToks here on this channel. And making my usual videos has been a little weird because every time that I'm sitting there doing my research and compiling videos and all of that, I just keep wondering, like, is this the last time we're gonna react to scary TikToks? And ever since we got access back to TikTok in January, I've had this video idea floating around in my head because we talk about a ton of scary TikTok accounts here on the channel. Also TikTok accounts that aren't necessarily scary, you know, they make the odd paranormal video here and there, but there are a ton of horror creators that I personally follow that maybe have never even made it into a scary side of TikTok, or they have, but they're certainly not in every single episode. And so I thought, with the future of TikTok still really uncertain, it would be kind of fun to show you guys some of my favorite spooky accounts that I follow and watch on a day-to-day basis, as well as give you all of their other social information. So I'll have like their TikTok and stuff linked down below, but also their Instagrams and their YouTubes and stuff like that, in case of the TikTok ban taking effect again next month. And I'm always telling you guys not to watch these scary videos by yourself, you know, come watch them with me. But these are all creators that I really enjoy the content of, and I hope you will seek them out and continue to watch them again in the looming event of the TikTok ban. I kind of just wanted to spread some love to my favorite TikTok horror peeps. I hope that that's cool. Like I said, I just haven't really felt like myself lately, and I thought that this could be a cool way to spread a little bit of love back to the community, talk about some accounts that I'm really into, and also watch some scary videos, okay? There's a reason why these accounts are some of my faves. So yeah, get a drink, get a snack, and then settle in, because we are going to be talking about, I think it's 6 scary TikTok accounts that actually you should watch by yourself. We'll start off with actually a quite familiar face to the scary side of TikTok. I've included her videos in TikTok videos in the past, from scary paranormal stuff to glitch in the Matrix videos, and that is a TikToker by the name of ashleeinc. Now, Ashley is a phenomenal storyteller who started out telling her own stories on TikTok and sort of evolved into telling her followers stories in a segment called Spooky Scary Storytime. Now, I love telling my subscribers scary stories, don't get me wrong, but there's something about the way that Ashley speaks, like the literal cadence of her voice, that keeps me in these videos from start to finish. Plus, her followers genuinely have some of the craziest scary stories I've ever heard. There's a reason that her account has been featured here on the Scary Side of TikTok multiple times, and two stories that I wanted to share with you guys today are the 10th bedroom and the twins and their unwanted triplet. We'll start off with the 10th bedroom, which was sent in by a follower of Ashley's named AJ. Now, AJ grew up in a Victorian mansion, this absolutely humongous, beautiful house with 9 bedrooms in it, and this is important for the story. And everything is great until one summer, AJ's cousin comes to visit. Now, AJ's cousin, kind of a horror movie enthusiast, loves the spooky, loves the scary. We totally get it, okay? You and I love those things too, I assume, if you're watching this. But he was kind of into more like Ouija boards and that sort of stuff. So one night this cousin whips out the old Ouija board, they're having a bonfire outside of this Victorian mansion, and he's like, let's play. So it's AJ, AJ's cousin, and then AJ's older sisters who were teenagers at the time, Ashley says. And at first it was kind of just giggles. It was kind of clear that AJ's cousin was sort of messing with them and nothing was too serious. Until, of course, something weird happened.
First, nothing was really happening, and it was all laughs as AJ's cousin was trying to scare his older sisters. But then something in the atmosphere changed. AJ's cousin got serious, and they realized that there was actually some entity that they were talking to on the board. One of AJ's older sisters asked, "Who are you?" And the board began to spell out D-E-V-I. As the planchette was moving toward the letter L, AJ's cousin slammed the board shut, he doused the fire, and they went inside. Nothing else happened that night, so AJ's sisters and AJ just chalked it up to their cousin playing an elaborate prank on them. The summer ended, AJ's cousin returned home, but then fall came. And with fall, the energy in the house changed. It started with small things, knocks at the door, footsteps in the hall, the sound of someone climbing the stairs. They would complain to their father, and their father, who was very religious, just said, just ignore it. If you feed into it, it only makes it worse. But then things escalated. All of the kids in the house started having very scary, very vivid and demonic nightmares. Their parents were fighting all the time, and AJ says it was like a gray fog settled over everything. AJ says the first very scary incident happened to his sister around 3 in the morning. She was laying in bed when all of a sudden all the posters taped to one side of her wall flew off to the other side of the room. She sat up in shock. Her bed started to shake violently, he says, like exorcist style, and she ran to her mom's room screaming. Her mom thought it was just a nightmare, so she lets her sleep in the bed with her. They're laying in bed for a little while when all of a sudden the parents' bed begins to shake violently. Her mom starts reciting a prayer. She's doing that for a little while and the shaking stops.
I think the scariest part of the story is that at one point it sounded like all of the dishes in the kitchen were being broken all at once, and AJ's mom grabbed AJ and his sisters and like dragged them to the library in this house and called the police, thinking that there was an intruder, thinking someone was like going through their house. It sounded like somebody had broken every single dish in the kitchen. I cannot emphasize this enough. And when the cops get there, when the dad gets there, nothing is wrong. Nobody's there. Nothing is broken. There's no sign of entry. Like, it was like nothing had happened. There's even like a potential mimic in this where AJ's dad saw AJ with a little girl.
Another scary incident at the house directly involved AJ. One day he was in his room, his dad was downstairs, he called him for something. AJ came to the banister, his dad was on the first floor, and AJ was looking down at him. He asked him his question, but he was looking at AJ strangely. AJ went back in his room, and later he found out that his father looked at him strangely because he asked his mom if they were babysitting somebody that day or if AJ had a friend over. AJ's mom is confused. She looks at her husband. She's like, no, why? And AJ's dad says, well, then who was that little girl standing with AJ? Apparently this incident was enough to get AJ's dad's attention and realize that there was an evil presence in the house.
So absolutely terrifying stuff. And at this point, AJ's parents are like, all right, we need to get help. They are Muslim, so they decide to invite over a Muslim priest to bless the home. Now, when this priest walks in, he tells them that there are many evil presences throughout the house and that they stay in the 10th bedroom. Now, this doesn't just like come out of nowhere after 10 minutes in the house. This priest is blessing it with holy water, you know, prayers, stuff like that, over the course of 3 days. Now, AJ's dad is confused. AJ is confused. It's like, this house only has 9 bedrooms. But this is what the priest said, that there are many evil presences in this home and they stay in the 10th bedroom. Ashley says that AJ's parents are skeptical, but they're like, all right, you know, thanks, I guess. And actually, the paranormal activity stopped. Now, this, of course, is where the story takes an insane turn.
Until 7 years later, when AJ's parents decided that they were going to do some renovations on the Victorian mansion. His mother instructed the renovators to rip out a built-in bookshelf in the basement that she had always wanted to remove. When they removed the bookshelf, the entire family was shocked to find a door behind the bookshelf. And when they opened it, they realized it was a 10th bedroom. The bedroom was filled with old clothes, old letters, and books in strange languages. And his mother was completely spooked by this, but his father, he said, was just happy to have extra storage space. His mother was insistent, though, on having the room blessed. They had a priest come, they blessed the room, and nothing strange happened. They ended up using the room for storage. AJ said although there were more things that happened in that house, these were the most terrifying experiences, and he wants to know if anyone can relate.
Is that not absolutely crazy? This is what I'm telling you, is that Ashley's followers have the most nuts stories I've ever heard, and she's really good at picking out the scariest ones. She actually said at the beginning of this story that AJ has been told by his friends who have heard this story, like, you need to sell this as a Hollywood movie script. And he's always said that, like, he believes because of his faith that he should just kind of let that stuff go, like not think about it too much. But he's such a fan of Ashley's, he decided to send the story in, and it is a truly creepy one. I mean, there's no way that this priest could have known that there was a hidden 10th bedroom in this crazy large Victorian mansion. And even if he somehow did, it's so weird that he came over, all this paranormal activity stopped, and then they stumbled upon, in fact, a 10th bedroom. Now, that's pretty creepy, okay? But there is another story that I feel like I have listened to just over and over and over again. I will watch Ashley's videos while I do my makeup, like their little mini podcasts. They're usually like 6 to 8, maybe like 10-ish minutes. Like, she does these really phenomenal long stories, so I feel like I can really like absorb myself in them. But this one is called The Twins and Their Unwanted Triplet. Now, this is truly one of the craziest stories because it sounds so much like a mimic, and yet that terminology was like never used throughout this story. So I'm curious what you'll think. Ashley begins the story by saying that this is about two twins, one named Amy, who wrote in this story, and one named Becky. The names have been changed because Amy doesn't want their real names used, and you'll understand why later. The girls are 26 years old, and they grew up with their mother in Michigan. And their mom was working all the time. She was a single mother, and so the twins really only had each other to look after. They were best friends. They were so close. And unfortunately, when the girls were 23, they lost their mother. And these poor girls went through so much because at 23, they lose their mother. At 25, they lose their grandmother who they've moved in with. But the girls inherit their grandmother's house. Now, they've shared a bedroom pretty much their entire lives. And now that they've inherited their grandmother's home for the first time, they have space to go around. And so it's the first time that Amy and Becky each get their own rooms. They love their grandmother's house. I mean, they've lived here for years, but they kind of want to make it their own space, you know? There's not like a plethora of money to go around, so they start thrifting for their pieces. The girls are thrifting all the time. They're going to these estate sales, and it's at one particular estate sale where this story kind of begins.
So they walk in and look around. It's all this really nice solid wood furniture, a lot of really expensive art, and they look at each other. They're like, there's no way we're going to be able to afford this. There's one lady running the show. She's like running around frantic, talking to all the people there, looking at everything. They find this set of like bright yellow couches that they wanted, and they ask the lady, and she tells them it's like $12,000. So they're like, yeah, no. They were walking around for a little bit. Amy said what really stood out to her about all of the art was that it was very like evil looking. There were a lot of images of what appeared to be like demons coming up from the earth, and like children with grimaces on their faces, and then like saints in cloaks. She said just like not a good vibe for the art. So they can't afford anything anyway. She tells Becky like, hey, we should leave. Becky's like, all right, well, let me just like look in the bedroom real quick. I just want to see if there's anything like little, like maybe we can find something like cool, like a little trinket or something. So she walks in one of the bedrooms, and there's like a jewelry box and with all the contents laid out. They're looking over the jewelry. It's all very gaudy, like neither of their styles. And there's a little sign that says inquire for pricing on individual pieces. So Becky's eyes come across this little Victorian brooch. This is not the exact brooch, but this is the picture that Amy sent me and said it looked like this. It was a black silhouette with a white woman in the foreground. She said the one Becky found, though, seemed to be different in that the woman seemed to be like grimacing. Becky picks it up and shows Amy, and she's like, oh my God, I have to have this. And Amy rolls her eyes. She's like, you're not going to be able to afford it. And Becky's like, I'm just going to ask how much it is. She brings it downstairs. She shows the lady running the show who's still like frantically running around talking to all the buyers. And she's like, hey, how much is this? I found it upstairs by the jewelry. And the lady like can't be bothered. She's like, just take it. So Becky's like, bet. She like doesn't think twice. She's like, it's mine.
Becky is obsessed with this brooch. She feels like she manifested it. She feels like it was literally meant for her. She is just obsessed with it. And Amy doesn't quite get the obsession. But what makes it even weirder is that that night, Amy has a very, and I mean very, vivid nightmare about the brooch.
Amy's boyfriend comes over that night, okay? So he's sleeping in her bed with her. They go to sleep. She has a nightmare while she's sleeping about the brooch. She said she was looking at it on Amy's dresser and she picked it up and the woman in the brooch turned to look at her and scowled at her. And then she started talking, but she said she can't remember what she said in the dream, but she remembers it was a warning. So she said she thought she woke up from this dream. She sits up in bed. She wakes up her boyfriend and her boyfriend turns over, but his face is the woman's face. And then she really woke up. So she had like a dream within a dream. She's obviously unsettled by this nightmare. So she tries to fall back asleep, but she said when she closed her eyes, she just saw all the demons and like the grimacing children from the painting she saw at the estate sale.
So Amy doesn't sleep well this night at all. And when she wakes up in the morning, Becky is already getting ready for her shift at work. I don't know if I included this, but at this time, I believe they're both working as baristas at the same place. And Becky wears the brooch that day. She heads out to work and Amy stays at home with her boyfriend. Now, Amy gets a text halfway through the day from a friend that says, "Oh, so you're too good for me now?" And Amy's like, "What?" And the friend's like, "I said hey to you at the park and you ignored me." Now, this isn't that weird because Amy and Becky are identical twins. They get mistaken for each other quite often. But in this circumstance, it's weird because Amy knows Becky's at work and Amy knows that she's at home on the couch where she's been all day. She texts Becky and is like, "Hey, like, have you been at the park today?" And Becky says, "No, I've been on my shift all day." And Amy just chalks it up to like, "That's weird. It must just be a weird doppelganger we have that we don't know about in town." Weeks go by after this and Amy is still having these weird dreams. What makes this even stranger also is that they have a dog that they share named Bella. And you guys know my rule of thumb, if pets are like freaked out by something, I typically listen to their line of reasoning. Pets and kids, when they see something spooky, scary, I'm gonna believe them. But despite the fact that Bella is technically both of their dogs, Bella definitely prefers Becky, is more like Becky's dog. And all of a sudden, Bella will not sleep in Becky's room at night, like very much so is creeped out, comes walking into Amy's room, shaking, so freaked out, very out of character for her. And Becky's feelings are hurt. She's like, this is my dog. Like, why does she not want to hang out with me? But it's little things like this, the dreams, the dog, the doppelganger in public, maybe. But then, and this I think is the weirdest part of the story, this guy that Becky had been seeing puts Amy and Becky into a group chat and says, "Hey, I have Becky's sweatshirt. I'm gonna bring it over to the house." Now, both girls are working this day. And so they tell him, "We're not home. Just feel free to leave it on the doorstep." And this is when, again, I think this is by far the scariest moment of this entire story, maybe one of the scariest things I've ever heard in my life. Because he interacts with something that looks just like them, but is not them and is inside of their home.
Both of the girls were working at the coffee shop when he texted them this. He's like, "Okay, cool, I'll just leave it on the doorstep." Later that night, Becky gets off work. She texts her boyfriend. He's like, "I thought you were mad at me." And she's like, "Why would I be mad at you?" And he's like, "When I saw you earlier, you seemed upset." She's like, "What are you talking about?" So she calls him and Amy said the phone call was in front of her, like he was on speakerphone, so she heard it. But basically he said that when he came over to their house to drop off the sweater, Becky answered the door and she took the sweater from him, but she didn't say anything to him. Apparently he was like, "Oh, you're off work early, like let's hang." And she just like ignored him, like was so cold, took the sweater and went inside. Becky's like, "I've been at work all day." And he's like, "Cool, was it Amy?" And she's like, "No, she's been at work all day with me." So they get home and the sweater is on the couch. So they're like, what the F is going on? Because nobody else lived there. He did not have a key to their place. They ruled out the fact that he was like playing some elaborate joke on them. The whole thing was really rubbed them the wrong way. They go out that night and they buy some Ring cameras.
And after this, Amy starts seeing Becky in the house when she knows it's not her sister.
Not long after that happens, Becky's at work one day. Amy's at the house by herself. She's sleeping in because she said sometimes they work together, but usually Becky worked in the mornings and Amy worked at night. She's in her bed with the dog scrolling on her phone. She had just woken up and she said she saw Becky walk past her door, which was like half cracked open, into the bathroom. This was like 2 hours after Becky was supposed to leave for work. So she calls her. She's like, "Becky, why are you here?" Becky doesn't say anything. So she gets up, she walks out of the hall and she said directly to the right of her bedroom door was the bathroom. She looks in the bathroom and Becky's not in there. She says 100% she saw Becky walk past the door. It wasn't like a shadow, it was Becky. She's obviously freaked out. She calls Becky. Becky's at work, so she doesn't answer. She texts her back. She's like, what's up? I'm at work. You know this. Amy's like, did you come home? And Becky's like, no, I'm at work. I've been here for like 2 hours. So she's too freaked out. She leaves. She goes to her boyfriend's house. She comes home later that night when Becky's also home. Becky's out in the living room watching TV. Amy is sitting on the floor in her bedroom, like with the mirror, doing her makeup, and she's on FaceTime with one of her friends. She's telling her about this experience she had. Her friend cuts her off at one point and she goes, oh, hey, Becky. Amy looks in the phone in the little FaceTime window and she sees Becky standing behind her. So she turns around and nobody's there. And her friend's like, rude, she could have said hi. And she's like, she wasn't there. So Amy runs out in the living room and Becky is still sitting on the couch watching TV. She's like, were you just in my room? And Becky's like, no, I've been watching the show. She said this continues to happen. She continues seeing Becky where she's not. She has no idea what's going on. And it's been 8 months since this has started happening.
Ashley ends off this story by saying that Amy is going to continue to update her, but also that Becky has been acting really strangely, that they've kind of been fighting seemingly for the first time in their entire lives. Becky's just been very dark and off, and things just feel very, very, very strained between them, which is also why Amy didn't want their real names used. But this is why you guys absolutely should check out Ashley's account, because these are just 2 of the many stories that she tells. She posts like a story every single day, and this one is one that she said she's going to keep up with.
The girls say they have researched this to the end of the earth and they cannot find anything. Amy said she's convinced it was the brooch because it started when the brooch was brought in the house. She convinced Becky to stop wearing the brooch. She still has it. She said she doesn't know what to do with it, but she doesn't wear it anymore. She said she sent me this story because she wants to know if anyone's had a similar experience, and if so, what should she do? What should they do? She said also now her and Becky are arguing all the time. Becky actually doesn't know that she sent me this story, which is another reason she wanted their names changed. Becky's whole personality has just gotten this really dark, heavy, like attitude.
I wanted to start this video off with her account because again, she's a TikToker I really, really, really enjoy the content of. I watch her every single day. And again, if TikTok goes away, you guys can find her other social medias down below because again, she's a phenomenal, phenomenal storyteller with the spookiest and scariest stories in town. Moving on from Ashley, our next TikTok account is my friend Monse. This is cvnela on TikTok, who has a whopping 2.3 million followers. I'm so proud of her. Monse is someone I found through the Scary Side of TikTok series, and it's been such a delight to see her grow into one of the biggest names in the horror creator space. She'll often recommend like scary videos for people to watch. That's sort of her signature, scary movies and scary video recommendations. She also goes into like videos in Spanish. For example, in this video, she talks about one of the scariest Mexican analog horrors.
Let's talk about one of the creepiest Mexican analog horrors, the Selena Delgado broadcast. Now, before I show you the video, let's break it down a little bit. Now, the Selena Delgado broadcast was a broadcast that allegedly happened on Canal 5 during the segment called Al Servicio a la Comunidad, which translates to In Service to the Community, which was a missing people's broadcast during the late 1990s to the early 2000s. And this segment would cut between commercials to help spread the word on missing people. It was usually followed by the name, the age, and the dates that they went missing. However, it was one that would shock people of a woman named Selena Delgado, who was a woman that went missing on April 22nd in Álvaro Obregón, Mexico City. But allegedly, during her broadcast, which apparently cut during a kids' TV show, her picture gets interrupted by this.
De 18 años se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón. Selena Delgado López se ignora su paradero desde el 28 de mayo del año 2000.
So yeah, apparently that popped up and thousands of children were horrified by this picture. But yeah, apparently according to some commenters, their moms like saw this happen in real life, and others just say that it's the best analog horror. But listen, real or not, that picture gave me nightmares. That's like the craziest uncanny valley I had ever seen. I don't know what to think. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Sorry for the nightmares, if you have any.
I also love videos where she goes a little bit more in depth into like nostalgic old YouTube videos. Like this one, the party makeup video. Do you guys remember this? It really like took me back to old scary YouTube watching this on her TikTok account.
Let's talk about one of the scariest videos out on the internet, the party makeup video. So many of you guys were telling me to cover this video, and Yeah, I'm disturbed. Before I show you a bit of this absolutely terrifying video, let's break it down a little bit. In 2014, a channel by the name of 15 Experience would upload one of the strangest, eeriest videos on the internet. Party Makeup by Nikki, where you see a young woman introduce herself as Nikki, excitedly state that she would be showing us how she does her party makeup. However, as the video would progress, you'd see these strange like Facebook screenshots on this side of the screen. Suddenly cuts to this terrifying CCTV footage of this dark, empty room, to which Nikki would suddenly snap out of her cheery mood and do this.
And I like to start at the base and then move my way inside. So we're gonna just start here.
If you didn't understand what happened, she started slamming her head on the table. Awful, I know. Obviously, I can't show you the unblurred images here because, you know, there's a lot of red stuff. But the original video has since been taken down, only to be left with re-uploads. And comments saying, claiming no negative energy, bro, my heart skipped a beat, no joke. This is the scariest bleep I've seen. And yeah, you get it. Some people even claim that she got possessed. Listen, according to capitalfm.com, the original description said the video was sent to me anonymously. I do not have any information beyond that. It is for you to decide your own whether it is real or fake. I guess the ending of the video linked you to their website. So listen, I tried to access, but it's no longer available. For those of you wondering if this was a haunted video or a woman getting possessed on camera, it was actually none of that. Because the actual actress in the video, Nakia Seacrest, literally tweeted almost 1 million views, basically celebrating the fact that their video was going viral. But yeah, she's okay, guys, she's okay. It was all just a really, really good marketing stunt. Listen, although this was fake, this was very well shot for its time, and I remember people back then really thought that this poor woman unalived on video, that someone just uploaded it. And if you watch the unblurred version, it looks really realistic. And yeah, that's the story of Party Makeup by Nikki. I want to hear what you guys think. Is this still terrifying to you? Do you think this is truly one of the most iconic horror videos on the internet? Or is the magic of horror in this ruined to you now? Let me know.
Monse always has really great movie recommendations, or maybe truly cursed ones. These are actually her top do not watch horror movies.
Here are my top do not watch horror movies, unless you want to be utterly disgusted and disturbed. For our first one, we're gonna start off really strong with a really weird one. The 2018 body horror, The Farm. This one feels like a fever dream. The Farm is about this sweet couple that's on a road trip, but suddenly in the middle of their trip, these kidnappers snatch them up, put them in a farm, and treat them like animals. It turns out that these kidnappers are actually farmers that have a huge farm full of humans that they treat like farm animals. Let me just tell you how weird this is. The men are used for their meat and the women are used for their milk. These people are just a bunch of cannibals. Now you might be wondering, does the couple make it out? I'm not gonna tell you. Yeah, this one's pretty gross, pretty uncomfy. This crazy film is available on YouTube and Tubi. And for our second one, we're gonna go with one that you guys keep asking me to put in my list. And you know what? I listen and I don't judge, kind of. The 2010 thriller horror, I Spit on Your Grave. I hate this movie, the first half at least, because this one for me personally was a little too much. But I Spit on Your Grave is about a woman who's a writer that takes a solo trip, but during one of her stays in an isolated wooden house, gets brutally assaulted by a group of men. I'm not gonna go into detail because the movie is known for being very graphic, and I'm not a fan of movies that are this graphic, but what I will say is that this is a revenge story because the woman actually manages to escape them, makes a comeback to make her revenge on all of them. Now that part I liked about this movie. Through and through, this is graphic for all the reasons, but listen, personally I had to skip through the assault part, stayed focused on the revenge part. So if you think you can stomach this one, it's on Tubi for free. Yeah, that one was really dark, so I'm gonna end the list with a really weird horror movie, 2007 comedy horror film, Teeth. I remember watching this one during a sleepover and I was just disgusted, disturbed, confused. I feel like only certain people would like this one. Teeth is about this Christian teenager who starts to develop a crush on one of her friends, but later is assaulted by that friend. I can't say it. However, during the assault, The guy starts to scream in pain because it turns out that she had teeth in her, you know, with his you-know-what chopped off. She flees the scene and basically her whole life ends up being changed. And I know, guys, this movie has a strange premise, but honestly, the more I think about it, the cooler it sounds. And is, because when I watched it, I actually kind of liked it. And strangely enough, also a good message on consent and taking your body autonomy back. If you want to watch this one's available on Tubi for free. Tubi, you just want to give us nightmares. Like, but yeah, those are my top do not watch movies. I'm gonna be honest with you, probably the first two are a little too much. But the last one, that one just has a place in my heart. Because I watched it as a teenager and I was shocked. I was gagged. But yeah, have any of you guys seen these? Do you guys have any movies to recommend me? Let me know. Let me know.
She even streams sometimes and reacts to scary content live, a little bit like yours truly. So if you like that kind of thing, then make sure to check her out. I mean, make sure to check out Monse anyway. There's truly no lack of scary content on all of her accounts, but it's also all so informative. She's also just a really creative person. Sorry, I gotta gush with my friend here for a second. But she's been doing so much cool studio work recently. Like, I saw these interviews she did for Wolfman, and she always has the coolest questions to ask. Again, she's someone who I just have known for so long. I feel like literally since the start of her TikTok career, when she started out all of her videos by saying, "Can I show you a scary video?" And I used to include them in my scary side of TikToks. And like I said, now I feel like she is truly one of these forces in the horror creator space. And I mean, I'm just so very proud of her. So make sure to check her out. As with all of these, I'm going to keep saying that. But yeah, she's a very dear friend of mine who I'm just so proud of. And yeah, I love friends who do scary things on the internet and I get to talk about them. Moving on to another one of my mutuals. Now I don't think have ever talked about whyjordie here on the channel, but I am obsessed with her videos. And again, it's like content that I watch on a daily basis because I, my friends, experience a little thing called submechanophobia. If you're not familiar with that, it is the fear of man-made objects submerged underwater. A lot of the times that looks like animatronics or other, I don't know, sort of like uncanny things that just don't feel like they belong under the water. I don't know. Usually for me, it's animatronics. But also it's buoys, submarines, sunken ships, or animatronics.
This one's making me ill just by looking at it. This is part 28 of some of the most horrifying submechanophobia things I've ever seen in my life. This thing is a 60-foot tall, gigantic marionette dressed as a old school scuba diver. This is one of the ones that I had actually not seen before, and someone recommended that I look it up, and I was literally gagging just looking at it. It was wielded around by this like gigantic crane and walked through the city of Liverpool and then made to go down into the water, and it was supposed to be for the 100-year anniversary of the Titanic. Like, just look how massive this thing is. I'm just thinking about what the legs looked like underwater. Oh God, no. It was a whole thing where they had like this little girl marionette and the dad marionette, and then they brought them together, and it was supposed to be like a unity thing for Titanic. That doesn't stop it from being terrifying, by the way. Just imagine snorkeling and opening your eyes underwater and seeing the legs.
I am constantly keeping up with Jordan's series about the worst cases of submechanophobia that they have ever seen. There are many installments to this. We could be here all day watching these TikToks, but I will give, I guess, a couple of special mentions to some of the ones that are the freakiest to me. For example, we have this absolutely massive woman statue in the water that just does not spark joy for me.
Can people please stop making really big, scary things and putting them in water like this? This is part 77 of some of the worst submechanophobia things I've ever seen. Now, we've already talked about the German version of this statue, but this one is actually in Alabama, and I hate it. It is absolutely massive. Of course it is. Why wouldn't they be? And she is chilling in water. It is just the head and the knees. You can get on your boat and go and visit her, and could you imagine falling in with this? No.
Of course, she is absolutely massive. Check her out compared to these humans. This is her being transported. Can you imagine driving next to this? I wouldn't even be able to drive next to this, much less see it in the freaking water. This is her when she was being sculpted. God, just to think about something that absolutely massive just chilling in water. Why do people do that? Legitimately, why the frick do they do this? She was actually damaged during a Hurricane Sally, a long ass time ago, but she got a makeover, so she's rocking red hair and some really pretty lipstick. Still hate her though. But yeah, would you go check out this roadside attraction? I'll pass.
Another one I think about pretty frequently is the Moby Dick animatronic, which I was unfamiliar with until I saw this creator talk about it. And yeah, there's just something about knowing that these animatronics, these like basically things with electrical wires and stuff like that are under the water. I don't know, does that freak anyone else out? It's also large objects that freak me out, but it's mostly the idea that like, can we not get electrocuted from that? Is there not danger in this?
We've already talked about this gigantic Moby Dick animatronic that is under the water and has been there since the 60s, but we're gonna talk about it again because I had a nightmare about it and I'm making that everyone else's problem. So yes, this gigantic Moby Dick animatronic was put there in, I think, 1967, and it has since sunk and is still under there. This is a photo taken in 2005 of it just completely submerged underwater. People on YouTube actually have videos of them diving under there, and it's just like a carcass of itself, and I don't even want it. You can't see it very clearly because it's so murky. But like the first thing that started going bad on this animatronic was its jaw was so heavy that it couldn't sit all the way up. So its jaw is eventually what brought it down. Like its gigantic heavy jaw just made it sink to the bottom of the lake. Like, see, here's it when its jaw was completely down and it's just sitting completely up like that. It used to come up and down. I'm going to show you a video later, but this is it without its jaw, and And yes, this thing is absolutely huge and life size. Like, here's it with a boat of people. Ew. Here's it when it was being transported into the water for the very first time. Look how tiny these people are in comparison to this gigantic, huge whale animatronic. Whales are my worst fear of all time, but a whale animatronic completely submerged underwater. Miss me with that. Like, of all the animatronics that I have ever covered on this channel, this one scares me the absolute most. I cannot imagine falling in that water with that decayed, horrific, huge fake whale. I would cease to exist. Like, it looks so sad too. Look at Pookie. He looks so sad.
That's not to say that all this creator talks about is giant statues and creepy animatronics and stuff. They also talk about like cruise ship graveyards, which I learned were a thing from this account. There's also this video on the Costa Concordia, which is kind of sometimes referred to as the modern day Titanic sinking. Not nearly as many casualties or anything like that, but still a really interesting piece of history. I think I had watched like a Bright Sun's film video on this back in the day, and seeing Jordan's video about it just really reminded me of why it was so unbelievably terrifying and why the shipwreck is so terrifying.
This is the Costa Concordia, or the modern day Titanic. This happened in 2012. Some of these images that I looked up of this ship abandoned actually made me like almost nauseous. So if you have really bad stomachanophobia, this one's gonna be really bad for you, I promise. This is it after it hit the reef. It hit the reef at night. There were only 32 unalived people compared to Titanic's 1,500. So big difference. This is with modern day technology. They had enough lifeboats. They were very close to shore. A lot of differences. This image is the most disgusting thing I have ever seen in my life. So they couldn't tow it back in for 2 years. So it sat out there, abandoned for 2 years, like right off the coast of Italy. Divers would go into it. I'm gonna show a video of divers actually messing around in there. It is sickening. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Also, for comparison, this is how big it was compared to the Titanic. It was about 4 times as large. Of course it was. This image is sick. I hate the fact that you can see like the pool and stuff that was on top of it. Ugh. This is an image from when the divers went inside. Gross. Watch this video and let me know how you're feeling, because the beginning of this video specifically made my stomach drop. Let me know how you're feeling.
And can we talk about spooky things in the water without talking about still water? No. No, we can't, and Jordan can't either.
Still water. I can't believe I've been making these videos for almost 5 months, and I have not talked about the terror of still water. By the way, I am very sick right now, so if I sound like a frog, that's why. Still water is one of the most terrifying things, especially to me, but in general, it is very, very dangerous and filled with millions of microorganisms, including brain-eating parasites. You don't want to ever fall in this. Oh, and by the way, those stairs being under the water like that for I don't even know how long, if you were to go on those stairs, they would immediately break with the weight of your body, and you would crash down and be in that water with all of that underwater stuff. Underwater mechanics, underwater stairs, no thank you. Who wants to go in the still water Aussie? Not me. This is an abandoned pool that I found a picture of. Look at all the lovely infectious diseases just chilling on top like that.
That was just sort of a little sprinkling of some of, I guess, like my favorite videos from this account. But again, I will have everybody's TikTok account and their like YouTube's, Instagrams, all that listed down below. This is a creator who so obviously puts a ton of love and work into their videos. And I also think it's a really unique concept. You know, I feel like submechanophobia was something that maybe we talked about a lot over COVID, or at least that was maybe when I got into it. I was watching like TPM vids all the time talk about the scariest submechanophobia animatronics and stuff, but I love diving into these like bite-sized little horrific things in day-to-day life that aren't paranormal or, I don't know, even nefarious or anything like that. It's just spooky things under the water, or just spooky water things in general. Next up, you guys know that I do not curse in my YouTube videos, okay? On stream, that's another thing entirely, but I try not to leave in cursing in my YouTube videos. This is for a myriad of reasons. I am a 31-year-old woman. I do curse occasionally. I feel like that Miranda Cosgrove clip where she's like, I do cuss sometimes, actually, but I feel like I can't censor this next person's name because it's part of the charm of him, okay? It's part of the reason that I love his account so much, and that is the brilliant Latinos Against Spooky Shit. I found his account because you guys are always tagging me in scary videos, and I feel like sometimes I'll be tagged alongside other creators. And he was one I kept seeing coming up, and I was like, I have to check out this guy's account. Like, I have to see what it's all about. And oh my God, he always shows the best spooky videos, but he always like gives it this lighthearted edge, like turns it almost comedic while also totally recognizing how freaky some of this stuff is.
Here's Greg. What's up, Greg? All barking, no bite.
Hola, buenas tardes. Listen, if any of your friends are ever like, "Órale, bro, you should see this thing that I found in the woods," at that point, you're going to politely but firmly leave and tell them that you no longer can be friends with them. And when you get home and your mama asks you, "Hey, ¿qué pasó con fulanito de tal? You know, what happened to what's his name?" Because she doesn't know his name, right? She always puts a nickname to somebody, so she's never going to remember his actual name. She's always, hey, ¿qué pasó con el narices? Or ¿qué pasó con el pelón? Right? But anyways, you're going to tell her, ¿sabes qué, mamá? Lo dejé por pendejo. I left them for being a dumbass. And then you're just going to move on with your life. You're going to find new friends, and you're going to be okay.
Like, there was this video last summer, I think, of this person going viral for bringing home a very strange thing that they found in the mountains, and he had a very, very correct reaction.
I've found a lot of weird stuff in the mountains, but today I found the thing that takes the cake. I have absolutely no idea what it is.
Bueno, buenas tardes. There's very little things I care enough about to go look for him in the woods, especially finding random shit in the woods. You could tell me my abuela's out there, and I'd be like, ¿sabes qué? She's got this. That's a whole alien versus predator situation. I don't know if los spookies are stuck with her or she's stuck out there with los spookies, but I'm not going to get involved. That doesn't help anybody. But anyway, representative of Latinos Against Spooky Shit. And listen, I know that you said to take the cake. Mija, it took the cake, the loaves of bread, it took the croissants, it took the bakery, it took everything, okay? And I know that you now know what it is, okay? Everybody understands it's an orisha, legua, I think is the pronunciation, which means don't touch me. So my recommendation, we f***ed up, okay? We're going to have to appease a little bit, so we're going to leave some ofrendas out. Some tequila, aguardiente, we're going to leave some conchas, menudo, Juan Gabriel's greatest hit CDs, a tape recording of Sábado Gigante. We're just going to have to be like, hey, my bad. And hopefully this is like, y'all are chill. This is okay. We're cool. Okay. Next time, pregunta. Ask before touching shit. Okay. That's all I'm saying. I know we all have a history of like colonizing things, like as a human race. Let's break those bonds. So, Dios los bendiga. Best of luck. Take care of yourselves. And if you heard it, no, you didn't. Stop touching shit out here.
I think this might be one of my all-time favorite videos from him, actually. It's about this person who found a little door in their house. And yeah, this is just one of my favorite videos of his.
Everything seems normal, but then last night I got down here and there's this handle, and this is like a secret drawer. It pulls out. I peeked. There's definitely stuff inside of there. I haven't really looked at what it is yet. My wife says that's not her drawer, that's the house's drawer, and that the house needs privacy and to leave it alone. But we gotta open this up and see what's in there, right?
Hola, buenas tardes. Anytime everybody tells me like, oh, I got so much extra storage in my house, like it's really nice, I'm not expecting your house to come with its own pair of, diabolical suitcases. So not exactly what I'm expecting when somebody says they got extra room in the pantry. But anyway, representative Latinos Against Spooky Shit, mira, your wife is a smart woman, okay? Let her know that she's invited to the cookout. I'm gonna send her tamales. She's welcome to come over and talk to my abuela, play loteria, whatever she wants. She's one of us, because great point. That doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the house. You guys find a suitcase and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we got some. I find a suitcase and oh my God. It's the difference between looting and salvaging, right? Like I do it, I'm looting. You do it and you salvage something, okay? So my recommendation for this one, leave it alone, Jumanji, okay? We all know what happens when you find a box and then there's a little game and next thing you know, you have all the Lion King characters coming out of your living room. So leave it alone, rub some Vicks on it, okay? Déjale una ofrenda, maybe leave it a little conchita, make it some barbacoa, be like, hey, casa, I'm sorry for around with you, okay? It's like you haven't seen Encanto.
So I absolutely love this creator so very much. He also streams. I popped into one of his streams recently and he was just playing Rune Factory 5. It was very, very, very cozy. But talks about scary stuff, does a myriad of things online, and definitely is a creator that I'm excited to see more from in the future, whether or not it's on TikTok or somewhere else. And yeah, he's given me a lot of laughs, just a lot of entertainment over the course of my watching him on TikTok. So I hope I can bestow that onto all of you. Latinos Against Spooky Shit. He's a good one. He's a good one. He's also the only man who made it onto this list. So I feel like that tells you something. Next up, this is so long overdue, actually. I have to talk about Auntie Matrix. I've definitely mentioned her and maybe included a video or two in the past here on YouTube, but she is an account that, again, I am checking in on a daily freaking basis, and I've also been watching her for years at this point. Now, while she is Auntie Matrix, that's like her name, her actual @ is tessicavision, and she kind of does a variety of things. It's not all Glitch in the Matrix stuff, but a lot of it is. A lot of the time she reads her followers Glitch in the Matrix stories, or she'll, find them on Reddit or just wherever, but I really love the ones from her followers. This one has some medical stuff in it and is about childbirth, so you have been warned going in.
Let's read some Glitch in the Matrix stories, part 50. This one is like, oh my God, crazy. And it's very descriptive. So just be prepared. From my Glitch in the Matrix story, I heard, saw, and felt myself die. It was 12:00 a.m. on 11/4/2015. I was 38 weeks pregnant and my husband drove me to get induced because I had preeclampsia. I get placed into a delivery room and the nurses set up my IV and start giving me Pitocin. 2 hours pass and my water breaks. I can feel my son move. My husband calls the nurse. She sees if I'm dilated and finds out that I'm only 2 centimeters. She says, I'll give you 10 minutes and I'll come and check on you again. 5 minutes pass and my son is kicking like hell in my stomach and I'm screaming in pain. My husband calls a nurse. It's still 2 centimeters. She hits an alarm and 8 standby nurses come in. They start preparing in another room for an emergency C-section. I'm freaking out, so I beg my husband to call my mother, who he doesn't like. She works at McDonald's down the street. Before she gets there, the doctor comes in and tells me there's no way I can wait. The baby is in distress. They flip me over, administer an epidural. Not even 2 minutes later, I can feel the doctor cutting into my stomach. The pain was excruciating. I can feel my stomach on fire. My husband is looking right at me in my face and telling me that everything is gonna be okay. My whole body is shaking and I can feel my doctor digging around in my stomach. Then finally, I hear my son let out his first cry. I look to my husband, the doctor is walking to him with our son. The alarm on my monitor is going crazy and I can see the doctor toss my son to my husband and he starts requesting for blood. More nurses enter the room. The alarm is beeping and beeping over and over. My husband walks toward me with our son and I can see my baby's little fingers and his cute little nose, and then my monitor goes silent. A flatline beep rings across the entire room. Nurses grab my son from my husband. My husband is screaming and I'm looking at my husband, and then all of a sudden I can see me. My mouth is closed. I'm pale white. I move across the room to the end of the bed. My stomach is ripped open. Blood is pooling like a lake under the frame. Oh my God. I'm standing at the edge of the bed next to my husband and he's holding my foot that's dangling to the side. The doctor comes back in the room and says he's sorry, he did everything he could do. I turned to look at my husband and then the room completely changed around me. I'm sitting on the bed in the first delivery room. The nurse is at the end of the bed. My husband is holding my hand. The nurse checks to see how much I've dilated and I'm 9 centimeters and ready to deliver. Okay, maybe it was a dream or a premonition. There's a knock at the door and we're expecting it to be the doctor, but my mother runs in screaming, "Is everything okay?" My husband gets really upset and asks her what the hell she's doing in the delivery room, how did she find us and know our room. My mother looks at him with a blank face. I'm staring speechless, freaking out, and my mother's face turns from blank to creep, looking him dead in the face, and she says, "Roy, what are you talking about? You just called me out of work saying that there was an emergency and I needed to get here immediately." My husband turns to me and says, "No, I didn't. I've been standing by Zoe the whole time." The door opens and the doctor walks in. "All right, everyone, who's ready to deliver a baby? Read the room, doc." I vaginally delivered a healthy 6-pound, 5-ounce baby boy without any complications on 11/5/2015. As my doctor laid my son on my chest, I stared mesmerized at my baby's fingers and his cute little nose, looking exactly how it did moments ago when he was cut out of me. I don't know what happened and I don't know how I jumped from an emergency C-section back to right before everything started to turn south. And to this day, my mom swears my husband called her to work and told her to come. I told my mom what happened and she says that this glitch in the Matrix was my second chance. It couldn't have been a dream because of the mom. What?
I love that story, by the way. We've been talking about quantum immortality theory in the recent Glitch in the Matrix videos here on my channel, where it's almost like people get a, like this poster says at the end of the video, like a second chance, you know? It feels kind of comforting in a weird way, also very scary and very weird and creepy, but I don't know, gives me just like this weird feeling I can't quite describe. So I love that one. Something else I wanted to mention is that, do you guys remember the disappearing house story we talked about? Not the last Glitch in the Matrix video, maybe the one before that. Well, that person had actually literally sent in the original story to Auntie Matrix, and that's why it became like a popular story in the first place, before the person who experienced it came out and told their story in like a 20-minute two-parter. Now, I love these story videos. You guys can probably tell. I mean, even just based on like my last YouTube video where I said I've started telling you guys the scary stories on TikTok again and, you know, here on YouTube now. I definitely just love hearing people's stories, but like I said, she's always finding the best Glitch in the Matrix videos and stories and stuff. This one, for example, is from D. Allen Hatter's Hotel. And Auntie Matrix kind of prefaces this by saying like, this is a really terrifying thing to experience, you know, as a parent, along with just her other thoughts. I won't spoil anything for you yet because this is a pretty weird story. So this original poster, D. Allen Hatter's Hotel, they are coming to their home with their youngest child, Minnie. And she's taking her up this long path through this big garden that she has at her house at the time. They're walking up these steps to the house when suddenly the original poster feels like her hand just goes down as she's helping her daughter up the steps. Like her daughter has disappeared. And when she looks down, she is gone.
My drive's here, okay, at the side of my house. You get out the car, you walk up the long path, and then you turn the corner. My garden was huge. Turn the corner, and then you go into my front door. I just picked the kids up from school, and we're walking up the drive. River was with me, which is my middle daughter. She was there also, so she would have been about 5. River's walking in front to go into the house. I'm holding Minnie's hand because she was only little. She was only a baby, 1 or 2. And every time I walked up the drive, I would hold her hand because I wouldn't want her running out onto the road behind me. Jesus. River knew to go straight to the house, to the door. I'm walking up the path to my house through the big garden, got Minnie's hand. As we used to go into my front door, there was like about 3 steps, and they're quite high for a little kid with little legs. So I always used to pick Minnie's hand up and put her into the house. After I'd open the door, pick her up, put her in. Walked up the path, got to the steps, unlocked the door, and I lifted her up. And I will try my best to try and explain this. I'm lifting her up, and all of a sudden, my hand fell. It just fell. I don't know how to explain this. Minnie was gone. She wasn't there. I don't mean she ran off, or I let go of her by mistake, or she wiggled out of my hand. I mean, she vanished into thin air. I could see over the hedge of my garden, and straight across the street. So you've got my big garden, the hedge, then you've got a main road, and then over there is a path. So it's a distance, right? Get over to the other side of the road. And there was an old creepy looking man. I can only describe him as looking a bit like the vicar out of Poltergeist, it's called, yeah? And he was stood there holding Minnie's hand like this across the road and waving at me like this. I bolted out of that garden, obviously, and I ran across that road and I grabbed Minnie. Minnie wasn't crying, she wasn't doing anything, she was just holding his hand. She looked quite happy, actually. And I grabbed her, and I was that shocked and shaken at what had just happened. I didn't even say anything to the man. Like most people be like, well, did you ask him why he had her? Did you ask him how she got it? Did you ask him? I was physically shaken. I ran into the house with the kids. I dropped down onto the bottom step of my stairs, hugging Minnie, crying, shaking. I was stuttering. I couldn't even speak.
And Auntie Matrix says at the beginning of this video, when she prefaces the story, like, why wouldn't this guy have said anything? Like, if, you know, you were this guy, you'd think you would say something like, oh my God, I found your kid. You know, I don't know, something. But no, he's just waving at her. And her daughter, oh my God, it actually gives me like crazy chills. Like, her daughter had just fallen into the, I don't know, the ground. Like, she was just gone. But that's just like a sprinkling, a sampling of these scary videos that Auntie Matrix has to offer you. Again, she now is doing like long form on YouTube and stuff like that. So along with everybody else, I'll have all of her links down below. But she's a creator that I will continue to find if, in the event TikTok goes away in the US again. I will miss seeing her on my For You page, but I will find her elsewhere because, again, she really, I think, is a big reason why Glitch in the Matrix stuff has become as popular as it has on TikTok as well. I mean, I just see everybody tagging her in Glitch in the Matrix stuff. She's always the first person to post on like the newest, creepiest, most popping Glitch in the Matrix videos, but she also posts from accounts that have like 2,000 followers. You know what I mean? Like, she finds, I feel like, every single good video. And yeah, I just really love her account. But we are going to finish this off. And I will say, if you have watched until this point, I could do like 3 more of these. There are so many creators that I didn't include in this one because I didn't want to make this a super long video. But if you guys want another rendition of this, more scary TikToks you should watch alone, more accounts you should watch alone, let me know, because I would love to share more of my faves with you. But we are going to finish off with the one, the only, kelsiidaviess. Oh, what can I say about Kelsi? I mean, I have been following her again from the start. Like, I remember finding her through her paranormal videos about her haunted doll Lola and including them in like some of the very first Scary Side of TikTok videos. And every time I did, you guys were always like, oh my God, Kelsi, I can't believe Kelsi's in this. Lo and behold, she lives in LA just like me, and we started seeing each other out and about, and she is just such an incredible human being. I mean, beyond like the content that she makes, she's just such a lovely, lovely person who just makes you feel like good and warm. And I love it because I also love scary stuff. So she's someone that like every time I tune into her, it's like, oh yeah, that's my friend Kelsey. But she's talking about the most nightmare fuel stuff you've ever heard in your life. So Kelsey lives in an apartment basically with a myriad of ghosts, okay? She is clairvoyant, and I definitely think, as somebody who knows this girl in real life, you guys know I've kind of entered my skeptic era, but as somebody who knows this person in real life, I absolutely 100% believe that she is clairvoyant, a medium, however you want to classify it. So it's truly no wonder that there are so many spirits around her. But she makes these really fun videos that are almost like reenactments of paranormal experiences that she's had. They're always really fun and funny. But one of those spirits, one of our main characters, is our girl Lola. I'm actually not totally sure when Lola came into Kelsey's possession, but over the course of the past few years, Kelsey's been documenting paranormal activity with her. And a lot of the time she'll ask her, you know, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? For example, in this video, she asks, you know, what did you think about me meeting Peggy, the haunted doll? If you don't know, Peggy is a haunted doll at Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum, who I've had some pretty freaky experiences with. So this one hit a little close to home.
Today I'm going to be asking my haunted doll what she thinks of me meeting Peggy, the haunted doll. I had the opportunity to investigate Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum after hours with my friends with WWE. Something terrifying happened to me in one of the rooms and my neck got twisted as if someone was trying to break it. We also sat in the devil's rocking chair and of course met Peggy the doll. I want to see what Lola thinks of this experience. Did that just say Satan? What? Did not like that. Lola, do you know that I went and met Peggy the doll? Yes. Do you think that there's a kind entity with Peggy the doll? No. No. Oh my god. No. Is there a reason why the left side of her face is actually drooped? Yes. Supposedly, if you look into Peggy's eyes, she will give you a heart attack. So I looked into her eyes. Do you think it was a little risky for me to look into Peggy's eyes? Demon, that's great. Just a little risky. But hey, I survived, okay? That's great. That's great. I just see her shaking her head. She's like,
Lola is not her only haunted doll. It kind of seems like Kelsey stumbles on them. Like in this one, she sort of accidentally bought one buying a replica of Annabelle's doll.
I just found out that this doll is haunted. So I got this doll about a month ago, and when I bought it, I did not know it was haunted. I bought it because I wanted a replica of the real Annabelle doll, and it turns out there is an attachment named Liz. She's an older woman with blonde hair. I don't know anything else about her, so let's find out. Can you say your name loud and clear? What's so funny? She seems nice. I think she might have been the one that knocked one of my Lola plushies on a live stream in front of hundreds of people. I thought it was Lola, but she doesn't really do things like that anymore. So was that you? Liz! Liz! Yes, hi! I haven't been home in 3 weeks, so I have not had the time to sit and connect with her. Liz, are you kind? I think this doll was hers at some point and it was passed around in the family. I heard I wonder. Was that Lola? Who was that knocked on the ceiling? You talking? Okay. What year did you pass away? I thought I heard 95. There's something with a transplant. Is that how you passed? Yeah. Either she needed a transplant or she was giving someone one and there was a complication. Was it a kidney transplant?
And her haunted dolls are not the only spirits which she communicates with. Like I said, these things just sort of seem to follow her around. And you know, living in LA, I will say this city is actually a lot more haunted than people would think. And in this video, she talks about a man that she just literally kind of stumbled upon. Not a living man, but a man's spirit at her apartment building.
There's been the spirit of a man coming to me for about a month now, and I believe that he died right outside of my apartment. Oh my God. I think that's confirmation. He's making the REM pod beep. So I live in a very old and historic town, and there's been a lot of accidental deaths around here. I went out to my porch and I saw a man with caution tape all around him, police, his shirt was opened as if they were trying to resuscitate him, and he passed on. I believe that it was an accidental OD. Were you angry in life? Is that why you're so angry now? He keeps making these hand motions, just super frustrated. I just want to say to him and everyone watching that when you're passed on, it's your choice to move on. It's your decision. It's up to you. And so someone like me, I'm able to guide them in some way towards the light, towards moving on, shedding their ego, but it's all up to them. So me just sharing who he was, hearing him out, letting him just kind of like a therapy session, right? This might help him eventually move on when he's ready to. If you can let go of all that and just embrace the love and embrace the light, that's gonna help you heighten your vibration so you can go into a heaven-like state.
Kelsey is also an actress in Los Angeles. I feel like one day, y'all, we're gonna see her in a big movie, and it's gonna be one of those moments where it's like, I knew her when she was talking to her little haunted dolls in her bedroom. But she does have this really cool series on her TikTok account that I really love. It's about the Tooth Fairy. It's like a Tooth Fairy horror series. In case you were wondering, yes, that is Bonnie Aaron's, like the nun herself. I just feel like her content is such a fun, fresh take on paranormal content, you know? I feel like we've been watching ghost hunting videos, or maybe you haven't. Yes, you have. What am I saying? You're watching this video. But I have been watching ghost hunting videos and paranormal content and making it for years and years and years and years. And like, I just love the fresh take that hers gives. And yeah, like I said, I literally am sitting here like, crap, should I try to fit in this person and this person and this person because I feel so wrong like not including them in this. But hopefully you guys like this enough that you want a part 2 to it. Yeah, this just felt like something positive that I could do in the current state of the world, giving a little bit of love to some horror creators, you know, just like I said, in the wake of not really knowing what's happening with TikTok in the US. So I really hope you guys will check these people out. That is what this video is for, to highlight some really cool horror creators online that I really, really like, and I think you would as well if you've never checked them out before. But yeah, let me know if you want a part 2. Happy 12 years to LoeyLane. Happy 12 years to me. My channel is almost a teenager. That's crazy. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I want to say an extra special thank you to my subscribers who are members of the channel. If you want to join the channel memberships and get extra members exclusive perks like members only content, members only polls, help me decide on future video topics, and so much more, you can click that little join button somewhere around the screen. We would love to have you. An extra special thank you to my VIP loves for their continued and generous support of the channel. I love and appreciate you all very, very much. I love you all very much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.